On the file of the environment, beyond research, technology, and science, how far are your two countries willing to go to harmonize your strategies in terms of greenhouse gas reductions? And how can you reconcile your two approaches when they seem so different, especially considering the fact that Canada refuses to have hard caps in part because of the oil sands? Thank you.
Do you want me to answer first?
Please. Yeah. First of all, really premature to talk about anything like that, anything like harmonization with the United States. The United States has not had a national dialogue and debate on its own detailed approach, and obviously that's something the President's administration will be doing. We will be watching what the United States does with a lot of interest, for the obvious reasons that, as we all know, Canada has had great difficulty developing an effective regulatory regime alone in the context of an integrated continental economy. It's very hard to have a tough regulatory system here when we are competing with an unregulated economy south of the border. So we'll be watching what the United States does. We'll be looking ourselves, for our own sake, at opportunities for harmonization to make our policies as effective as they can. And I don't think the differences are near as stark as you would suggest. When I look at the President's platform, the kind of targets his administration has laid out for the reduction of greenhouse gases are very similar to ours. You say we have intensity, they have absolute, but the truth is these are just two different ways of measuring the same thing. You can convert one to the other if that's what you want to do. So I'm quite optimistic. I'll be watching what's done in the United States with great interest, but I'm quite optimistic that we now have a partner on the North American continent that will provide leadership to the world on the climate change issue, and I think that's an important development.
Well, this is not just a U.S. or a Canadian issue. This is a worldwide issue that we're going to have to confront. The issue of climate change and greenhouse gases is something that's going to have an impact on all of us. And as two relatively wealthy countries, it's important for us to show leadership in this area. I think the clean energy dialogue is an extraordinary beginning because right now there are no silver bullets to solve all of our energy problems. We're going to have to try a whole range of things. And that's why sharing technology, sharing ideas, sharing research and development is so important. Here in Canada, you have the issue of the oil sands. In the United States, we have issues around coal, for example, which is extraordinarily plentiful and runs a lot of our power plants. And if we can figure out how to capture the carbon, that would make an enormous difference in how we operate. Right now, the technologies are at least not cost effective. So my expectation is that this clean energy dialogue will move us in the right direction. We're not going to solve these problems overnight, as Prime Minister Harper indicated. We have to complete our domestic debate and discussion around these issues. My hope is that we can show leadership so that by the time the international conference takes place in Copenhagen, that the United States has shown itself committed and ready to do its part. The more that within this hemisphere we can show leadership, I think the more likely it is that we can draw in countries like China and India, whose participation is absolutely critical for us to be able to solve this problem over the long term. And as Prime Minister Harper suggested, there are going to be a number of different ways to go after this problem. We've suggested a cap-and-trade system. There are other countries who've discussed the possibilities of a carbon tax. I think there's no country on earth that is not concerned about balancing dealing with this issue on the environmental side and making sure that in the midst of a severe recession that it's not having too much of an adverse impact on economic growth and employment.